championship teams, and championship cultures go for it. You know, I really believe that, and that's something that we have here. It's a special place. Been a lot of winning over the years, and those are all truths. The other truth is it doesn't mean anything yet. We have to be able to do it, you know, 1 week at a time, 1 practice at a time, 1 day at a time, and that's a great truth because we get to control that every day in our mentality. And so those two things are very true.
A little something new here, okay? All the attention has been in Pittsburgh on the quarterbacks. Of course, Justin Fields unseated by Russell Wilson. Wilson's excelled, pushing the ball down the field, looking like the best version of himself that he's looked in a long time. So we talk plenty about the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh. You know what we don't talk enough about? That defense. The Pittsburgh defense has been stout this season, ranking second in points per game allowed and total QBR. They also have the best red zone efficiency and have created 15 turnovers. They face a test in Jaden Daniels this week. Since Mike Tomlin took over as head coach in 2007, the Steelers defense has held rookie QBs to the second lowest QBR. Maybe Jaden Daniels also faces a tough test if you look at it that way. Mina, why has the Steelers defense been so stout the first half of the season?
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for this, Laura. On the back end, I think the corners are playing really well. Porter Jr. is just an absolute star now in this league. But really, it starts with the front. This pass rush, this defensive line is so deep beyond, of course, T.J. Watt. You've got Highsmith. Cameron Hayward is having an incredible year. Keanu Benton on the inside as well. What strikes me watching them is they rush with such great integrity. And that's going to matter a great deal, obviously, against Washington Commanders, given how much Jaden scrambles and is so good as a design runner. But this Pittsburgh defense is first league-wide in EPA per play versus quarterback runs. And a lot of it is because that pass rush, that defensive line, they don't give up lanes when they rush the passer.
MK, you know the saying, you got to earn your right to do what?
Party.
To get after the quarterback?
Oh, sorry.
Absolutely. And this is
Stop
the one
run
concern.
To have some fun?
Stop the run, have fun. This is one of my concerns with Pittsburgh, to be honest with you. The last 3 weeks have been the Las Vegas Raiders, the Jets, and the Giants. And the Giants had a tremendous amount of success on the ground before Tracy left. But Jonathan Taylor, and then against Dallas was the first week we saw Dallas have a semblance of a run game. I want to see them tighten that up because we know how dominant, to your point, they are at getting after the quarterback. But the Commanders are going to challenge them on the ground. That's one of the unsung things about the Washington Commanders that we probably should talk about a little bit more because we've been so enamored with the way Jaden Daniels is playing. They will run it and bludgeon you if they find a window. And Pittsburgh has not been stout as usual against the run game. Tracy was on his way to almost, I think, 175 yards when you start talking about how bad they looked in that game. So y'all know how I am. Last week I talked about the Denver Broncos and that defense. They'll finally be challenged. I think this will be another challenge for the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially after the Washington Commanders watching what the New York Giants did to them on the ground for some parts of that game.
Hey, if you heard a woman's voice saying party there, it was me, it was not Mina, okay? I just want to correct the record in case anybody's confused.
But party is right, Boogie.
Well,
party
I think
is
it's
right.
more
Party
fight
is
for your
right. Rushing the
not
passer
earning
is a party.
anyway. I was just at the Chiefs game, so it's fresh in my mind. Let's go to the Commanders, okay? And look, we know Jaden Daniels has been fantastic. He continues to impress with his arm and his legs, leading Washington to a 7-2 record. Now, they take on the Steelers. We just talked about this week, as we told you. You know what we don't talk enough about in Washington, though? That run game. The Commanders' balanced rushing attack has been a key to their offensive success. Both Brian Robinson Jr. and Jaden Daniels have averaged over 50 yards per game. Austin Eckler and Jeremy McNichols have combined for 50 as well. They're 164 rush yards per game, ranked third in the NFL. They have a combined 15 rushing touchdowns, which is the most. Dan, what do people need to know about this Commanders run game?
Well, they'll defensively put you in a visual nightmare. It's a lot for defenses to try to pay attention to, and a lot of it is off kind of like their zone read or their potential quarterback read and that bulls on parade essentially where there's a bunch of pullers. I want you guys to see these pullers and the everything the defense has to look at when it comes to all those moving parts, and it forces defenders to move so much laterally. That's how you get those seams in a defense. There are constantly people pulling from Washington's offense. Just pay attention to the Giants linebackers. they feel like they have to run side to side so fast that you essentially, when you're looking at all this from a defensive perspective, you start running yourself out of the gaps. Watch these backers turn and just completely run, and that leaves that gashing 4, 5, 6 yard seam. I think the discipline that you have to play with defensively, because again, the old school Washington run game was known as the Bulls on Parade, where they would just pull people and run. It's back, and it is forcing defenses so much to just feel like they got to run places. RC, I'd love your perspective on that, of like how challenging that is for really, like, I would imagine the second level of a defense.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you guys remember this. I don't know if you remember Houston, when Houston got into sort of the linemen, and we called it Bulls on Parade, or you called it Elephants on Parade, where the line of scrimmage was just moving so quickly laterally, and then you see a guy like Arian Foster cut the football upfield with that one cut, and he sort of get to the second level extremely quick because that first line of defense was running side to side. We see a lot of that with the Washington Commanders. I think the other piece of this running offense or rushing offense is what Jaden Daniels can do in the run game. Obviously, anytime they're in the shotgun, you're going to have to assign a player, whether it's the defensive end, outside linebacker, or scraping backer, to him. And so you're essentially taking one of those players out of the run front each and every play. And it's also the diversity of the backs, the versatility of a guy like Brian Robinson Jr. Then you bring in Austin Eckler, and even a guy like Jeremy McNichols, who can be dynamic at the second level. I think everything that Cliff Kingsbury does from a disguise standpoint and a movement standpoint helps this run game as well.
RC, to your point, Washington this year on zone read or potential quarterback read runs is 508 yards rushing the football. That's 200 more than anybody else in the NFL. And they are forcing defenses, instead of playing vertically, which you hear all people defensively often talk about, penetration. To RC's point, they're forcing them to play sideline to sideline, down a number, or down a body.
The visual of that and the gaps it creates, all those defenders were just all bunched up. I love it.